Hi guys, and welcome to episode 34.
Hello.
I hope you're all doing well, all having a great week, so on and so forth. I hope January isn't the struggle that all the memes suggest it will be. I hope you behaved yourselves financially in December.
Yeah, I know, because it's a long way to go.
And you're not in crisis because you know January has 50 days. So actually, before we start, I didn't even tell you this. Real quick, it would be really wonderful if on whatever platform you're watching us or listening to us on, if you really like the content and you're enjoying it so far, please give us a rating because it helps boost the podcast and makes us easier to find and just generally overall really helps us. So if you could take a minute to do that before we get rolling, really appreciate it. Okay, great.
And another thing, if the sound is kind of different or it's better or what, please let us know as well.
We're living a life of struggle over here. Yes, please give us feedback. Yeah. Absolutely. Whether it's the sound quality, the video quality, whatever it is. So, all right.
Okay,
let's
get
started.
Into the news, right? So, in South Korea, people are attending fake or mock funerals. And one of such places holding events is the Hyeowo Healing Center in Seoul. Now, the rationale behind this is to let people appreciate life, but more importantly, to reduce suicide rates. Now, suicide rates in South Korea is one of the highest in the world. There's about 20 people for every 100,000 people, which is quite high. Now, if you do agree to take part in this activity, you're given a robe. You're told to write your will. You're given a coffin, and then at some point you're ushered into the coffin. It takes about 10.
Yeah, they actually put you in the coffin.
Yeah, they put you in the coffin and
down.
they close the lid. Yes. So that can range between 10 minutes and 30 minutes. But you're in there, you're silent. And then you hear the guy who's leading the whole thing tell you that, your organs are failing, you're now dying slowly.
Okay, I don't know.
so that's it. So after the 10 to 30 minutes, they open the lid and then you come out.
You're
and
reborn.
It's sort of, exactly. So it's sort of like you've left all the bad things behind and then you're reborn into a new life.
You know what?
Now, yeah. So you may think of it as morbid or you're taunting death, but I actually do think it's a good way for people to appreciate life.
I'm just like,
it's
I can see it.
Exactly. And it just makes you aware that the time that we have here is limited and that you should appreciate the things that you have. Maybe if you're suicidal, you might think about it twice that, okay, maybe the people that I'm leaving behind will actually miss me when I'm gone.
Right.
I mean, obviously, suicide is not as simple as that, but it just may trigger somebody into thinking that, okay, maybe I should give this thing at life another go, right? And again, this has come out as a result of the stigma surrounding suicide, depression. And in South Korea, traditionally, people don't talk about depression and suicide and things. You basically have to deal with it on your own. So this is a kind of initiative that was put out there to help people who are suffering from suicide, or just generally from people who feel like they don't have too much out of life. Just let them experience that, okay, we've got this one life.
These people love you at least, and maybe they'll read your obituary or something, and you realize that, okay, your life hasn't been as terrible as you think.
But then again, death is also one of those things that we tend to shy away from, right? How many of us have written a will? How many of us have actually talked to our parents and asked them, okay, where do you want to be buried?
Yes.
What kind of funeral do you want? How many of us have talked to our kids and told them that, this is what happens when you die? Not some fairy tale story that they can't make head and tail of, right? So this, for me, is just another thing where it's something it's not comfortable to talk about, but it has to be talked about, just like sex, just like death, just like so many things. And then if you can accept that death is just a normal part of the human cycle, I think it just makes it easier to talk about. And that's my
right. No, that's wonderful. Listen, things are going down in Korea. Remember we talked about senior citizen prostitutes.
Yes.
And I actually have another topic, not today, that's happening in Korea. I'm just like, okay, Korea.
Yeah.
But in this case, because I have heard of living funerals, like people who are ill
Right.
Usually, those people who are terminal or something, they have their funeral whilst they're alive instead of when they die, and so they can get to see everyone for the last time, and and they usually it's when they're ready to announce that they're terminal or something, and it's just I don't know, I kind of like some of these alternative
like when I first
ways.
read it, I was a bit like, this is strange, but then when you think of it, it's actually it's not a bad thing.
No,
as
not
you put
really.
it. It puts some perspective into your life.
That's
and,
great.
Yeah, I like that. And one story I had to tell was that I had a great uncle who was so eager on finding out how he would look like if we died. So he actually photographed himself in the coffin.
Oh my
Yes. We found it bizarre. We're like, what's wrong with this guy? But then he
like,
wants
I
to
want
know.
to go out fly.
Yeah, so let me put myself in the coffin, take a picture, and see what I look like. Very bizarre, but hey, that's what it is. So that's that for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the news this week, I'm back to talking about Ghana and its ginger relationship when it comes to marijuana and weed. So I remember last season it was that I talked about how people were still pushing for the legalization of marijuana, and we had at least gotten to the point where Parliament was discussing legalizing the cultivation of industrial hemp, right? So that is back in the news again.
Oh.
And Ghana has signed via the hemp excuse me, sorry, let me just start over. Okay, Ghana stands to make $56 million in 5 years from the cultivation and exportation of industrial hemp. Now, just quickly to differentiate between industrial hemp and marijuana, both are actually cannabis sativa strains. However, the main difference is industrial hemp has a negligible amount of THC.
Right.
So, of course, for those weed heads out there, you know that the two main chemical elements in marijuana are THC and CBD. And CBD gives you the calming, sort of pain-killing effects of the marijuana, and the THC is what makes you think you're on the moon, right?
Okay.
So industrial hemp is a strain that does not contain, enough levels of either of these things for people to go and try and steal the weed to smoke, kind of thing, right? But actually, industrial hemp has many, many various uses, including as cattle feed. They extract the seed oil and use it in fuels, paints, ink. You can use the fibers for paper, for clothing, packaging materials, and construction materials. So it's actually in very high demand because, it has a multitude of uses. So the Hemp Growers Association of Ghana, which I didn't know existed until yesterday, we have a Hemp Growers Association, and they have signed a memorandum of understanding with a Ghanaian-owned cannabis operator in Portugal called Soringa TM. Now, I tried to look up Soringa TM and didn't find anything, which is slightly suspicious because, again, we're talking $56 million here over 5 years. So they said for the 100 acres that the Hemp Growers Association have put up to use, apparently each yearly yield will be $11 million. So that's why it comes to 55, 56. Okay. So, but the thing is, they're still waiting on parliamentary approval for industrial usage. But I mean, as they've gotten to the point where they've already signed the MOU, I have a suspicion that they know something, and that they're confident that this thing will go through at some point this year. And again, I do think it's a good step in the right direction. I don't know why we're so afraid. Again, I was saying gingerly, we're just like, I don't know.
It's we.
It's we. But I mean, beyond that, I mean, frankly, again, I repeat, I still feel like all weed should be legalized, and I don't think it will create this, epidemic of kids on drugs or whatever. I mean, whoever is smoking weed now, there's nobody else who wants to smoke weed in Ghana who isn't, because they're like, oh no, it's illegal, I can't do that. Since when? So what we'll be able to do is better regulate. You'll be able to tax. You pay VAT on your weed, like you pay VAT on your coke, on your not cocaine, but Coca-Cola or anything, or you know. So, but yeah, it looks like we may be getting a boost of income in the near future.
I think that's wonderful.
And I'm just like, how do we get in on this? Who are the hemp growers? So like, what if I have land I want to use for industrial?
No, honestly.
Maybe it's like I said, I couldn't find much about these entities, which again is always slightly suspicious, but.
You're not setting them up.
I know, I'm just like somebody's inner circle transactions. But if you're out there and you have land, I don't know, hit up the Hemp Growers Association and see if you can join in on this thing.
Yeah, why not?
And and get in on the game. So that is my in the news.
That's
this
brilliant.
week.
I love it. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, and on to songs of the week. Today I have 3 songs for you. The first one is a song called You Say from Lauren Daigle. Now, she's a contemporary gospel singer born in America. And when she was younger, she suffered from she contracted a virus called cytomegalovirus. And this virus is related to the virus that causes chickenpox and infectious mononucleosis. Now, because of this, she had to stay home. She couldn't go to school because her immune system was weak. And so her mother signed her up for singing lessons. And then from there on, she became a star. So I found that a
silver linings,
absolutely beautiful story. Now, the thing that really surprised me was that when I listened to the song, I thought it was Adele.
Oh.
Yes. And so she started singing, and at some point I said, this sounds so much like Adele. And it wasn't. So I was like, this is quite interesting, And the song, you say it's a beautiful song, and it basically questions like, where am I going? Am I going in the right direction? About issues of identity, basically. And it's off her album, Look Up Child. So that's a beautiful song, You Say, by Lauren Daigle. Now the second song, and I'm sure you guys are going to hate me because I keep talking about this artist. It's from Adekunle. Sorry, but I just find his music so amazing. So the second song is Adekunle Gold.
Is it Before You Wake Up?
No.
Okay.
And the song it's from his About 30 album, and the song is called Pablo Alakuri. Now, in trying to find out what this song was about, I ended up finding out that he made a song about a guy on Twitter who was a scammer. So this Pablo guy apparently was a scammer who used to dupe people, at some point threatened that he was going to commit suicide.
Oh, I remember that thing. It was just last year.
I don't know how that came about. And I don't know whether this Pablo guy had any relationship with Adekunle Gold. I'm not sure. I don't
know. Maybe he's just trolling.
Yeah.
Sophisticated troll.
But then he decided to make a song about it. The song is brilliant. I just love the fact that it's so like high life-y kind of. And of course, you can hear Simi in the background as usual. That's brilliant. So that's Pablo Alakuri from Adekunle Gold. The third song is from Wiyaala, and the song is called Rock and Sand off of her album Sisala Goddess. And I'll be the first to admit that I haven't really gotten into Wiyaala's song.
I know she's amazing. Her live performances are brilliant.
Yes.
I love everything she's doing, but I couldn't really tell you like 5 of her songs.
And I couldn't either. So I said, you know what, let me go listen to some of her tracks. She's got a beautiful voice.
She does. And she plays guitar as well.
Oh, she does?
She does,
okay,
yes. So she writes her music.
Yeah. So she's a Ghanaian artist. She sings in Sisala and Wiyaala dialects. And she's from Funsi in the upper West region. She's also known as the Young Lioness of Africa. And Wiyaala means dua in the Sisala. The Sisala dialect. So that's quite interesting. And she's been on this musical journey since 2012. Apparently she was in the Vodafone Icon reality show. So
you wouldn't recognize her. She was very different. She completely changed her image, and because she used to do the whole weave thing, and she was doing Afro pop music and all that. And then she just like revamped everything. She was like, "This is not really who I am."
Yeah, stay authentic to herself, probably. Yeah,
and that's what pushed her out there. So
that's
good for you.
Yeah,
good for her.
Yeah, so she's a top performer internationally, as Peaches has already said. And in a way, I don't want to say she's the next this or she's the next star, but she does remind me a bit of Angelina Jolie. Angelina. I said Angelina Jolie. Angelique Kidjo. And she also reminds me a bit of Grace Jones. But she's her own person. She does beautiful music. And that's Rock and Sand Wiyaala. So the 3 songs are Lauren Daigle, You Say, Adekunle Gold with Pablo Alakari, and Wiyaala, Rock and Sand.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. So I also have 3 songs this week. And the first one is from a singer called King Princess, and the song is called 1950.
Where are you getting all these things from? Where are you digging them from?
I'm trying to be like you.
Please.
So King Princess' real name is Michaela Strauss, and she's a singer-songwriter and instrumentalist. She plays she plays guitar. And she's from Brooklyn, New York, and she's actually signed to Mark Ronson's Zelig label. And I talked about Mark Ronson last week, I believe, yeah. So she signed to Zelig Records, and her music is like rock and blues influence, but it's got pop elements because she's actually only 21 years old, and I didn't know that because when I heard this song, it's like really soulful and everything like that. So it surprised me that she was so young. She actually wrote it when she was like 19 or something. So she released her first EP in 2018, and it's called Make My Bed. And this 1950 is the lead single off of that EP. Now, 1950 is a reference to the fact that in the 50s, 60s, hell, in some places, present day, people who were not heterosexual could not openly express their affections for each other. And she actually identifies as genderqueer. So she uses it as an analogy for being in love with somebody, not being able to show it to them, or or it being unrequited love. So basically there's love there, but nobody can show it to the other person, and how painful that can be. So yeah, it's called 1950. It's a really beautiful song. So that's my first one.
Nice.
My second one is by an artist called Samm Henshaw, and it's called Church, and it features a rap group called Earth Gang. Now, Samm Henshaw is a British singer-songwriter, and he was born in Yabasi Samuel Henshaw in London, but to Nigerian parents. So he's actually, one of us. What's up, Sam? And he's signed to Columbia Records in a development deal much earlier. And he's stated that he was heavily influenced by gospel growing up, as well as by, more contemporary singers. And that definitely comes out in the song, which is called Church. And that came out in 2019. And of course, it features your sort of Southern Black Baptist Church stylings, and you can hear it very well. And it's it's very upbeat. It kind of reminds me, if you remember that John Legend song "Used to Love You" featuring Kanye West. So it kind of reminds me of that a bit. And Earth Gang are an Atlanta-based rap duo who someone described as outcast if both members were Andre 3000. So they're kind of very out there, kind of very quirky and alt, but also make wonderful music. They are signed to, what is that label called? Anyway, Dreamville. J. Cole has a record label called Dreamville, and there's literally everybody signed on to Dreamville is amazing. And so Earth Gang are on Dreamville as well, and they feature on the song, and it's brilliant. You'll love it. It's very nice and upbeat. And my third song, I decided to take it all the way back. And so my third song is by George Darko, and it's called Akoti Brofo, which means even parrots can speak English. I didn't know what that meant at all. So George Darko was born in Ekropong in 1951, and he was the son of a chief, and he went to Presec in Ekropong, and ended up in the armed forces, where he played in the armed forces band and was deployed to the Middle East. And when he returned to Ghana, he formed the Golden Stool Band, which again would be a reference to his royal lineage. And then he moved to Germany and formed a new band called the Bus Stop Band in 1982. Yes. So it was during this time that he released Akoti Brofo, which came out in 1983. And the song became one of the pioneering sounds of what is my favorite era of high life, which is Boga high life. Because I'm an 80s baby, so that's what I stepped into. And yeah. So he eventually returned to Ghana and ended up being installed as the Tufuhini of Ekropong in 1991. All right. So again, George Darko is one of our icons of Ghanaian music. Yes. He's legendary. Again, he was one of the pioneers of Boga High Life. And I'm very fond of this song because it reminds me of my childhood. When my dad would be off work, he would, play music loud in the house. And back in the day, this was one of the albums, George Darko's album, this particular one that he would play. And this was one of my brother and I's favorite songs. We danced around. So those are my 3 songs this week. 1950 by King Princess, Church by Samm Henshaw featuring Earth Gang, and Akoti Brofo by George Darko.
Okay, all right. So in my What the F, which is probably not safe for work, you might want to either, if you're with your kids, you might want to skip or just explain to them how this is the real world. Anyway, so in a quest to follow every dumb trend, people are doing the uttermost, just being most. The most recent one being perineum sunning or bum sunning. Yeah. So what happens is perineum sunning is you get naked, you're basically showing your bum to the sun. And dermatologists have said that there's absolutely no benefit to this, and in fact you might actually get sunburns.
Because it's quite a tender part of your body.
Absolutely, and a sudden exposure, you could actually be risking getting cancer doing that. Now, so the original poster, a lady called Metaphysical Megan, is convinced that this practice improves your libido, good mental focus, increases energy, and so on and on and on. And she claims that it's an ancient Taoist practice.
Oh my God! I bet this person is very Caucasian.
Oh, of course, yeah, she is Caucasian. With the perineum being called the gate of life and death in Taoist practice. Now, I tried to look up some articles showing that
prove that this
absolutely nothing.
She made that up in her bedroom. I guarantee
it's crazy. I mean, if you're trying to get your daily dose of vitamin D, is that what you have to do?
There are other ways, surely. Just drink some milk or stand in the sun like everyone else with sunscreen on at that.
And the worst thing is that, so I was reading a bit more, and then I found out that Josh Brolin, aka Thanos, he also went to do that. He also tried this and failed miserably. He got burnt so badly that he had to use ice and aloe vera to, soothe his nether regions, so to speak. So again, it's just about following every stupid trend. Like you see, it's trendy, I gotta hop on it so that people know.
Some random person called Metaphysical. Why are you listening to her? Who is she?
It's stupid. And even if, I'm just thinking that even if it was a Taoist practice, I'm sure it was not as she said. I'm sure there was something similar to it, but not exactly. What do you do?
I've never heard any Chinese, because Chinese people usually carry through their traditions, and if it's really Taoist like that, somebody today, we'd know it, because we know of Feng Shui and Tai Chi. Yeah, I never heard of the butthole sunning one, so please, we beg you.
It's ridiculous. And then you see the picture with people on the lawn and they're holding their 2 feet up in the air and it's ridiculous. Like, please don't follow every trend. It's not necessary. It doesn't make you better or worse than any of us, So that's that for me. What the F in perineum sunning? Stupid.
Oh boy.
Stupid. Yeah.
Okay. So on to my What the F this week. So have you ever had a really bad stretch of time where you're just like, why was I even born?
Yeah.
Well, a certain gentleman called Raphael Samuel asked the same damn question, and he decided to take it a step further in solidarity with those of us who are tired of being alive. And he decided to sue his parents for creating him or giving birth to him without his consent.
Wow.
So Raphael Samuel is a self-described anti-natalist.
Hey.
Now, yes, please. The antinatalism movement is a system of Eddie, please.
Nah, this is just.
It's a system of belief that holds that it is morally wrong to procreate, especially since, for the most part, to live is to suffer.
Oh my God.
So he thinks it's unethical. And according to him, this sort of concept of antinatalism has actually appeared throughout history, specifically in certain sects of Christianity and Buddhism. And I guess he's trying to bring it back for the modern era. Okay, so he argues that to force a child into the world and to eventually force them into some sort of career is tantamount to kidnapping and slavery. Yes.
Most.
Now, the interesting thing here is both of his parents are attorneys. And so apparently his mother said she admires his temerity and says that if Raphael can come up with a reasonable explanation for how they could have sought his consent,
that's exactly what I was going to
prior
ask.
to giving birth to him, then she stands corrected and she'll happily accept her faults here. So I guess court case pending, and we'll all see the outcome. And depending how it goes, I think I'm also going to sue my parents because the wahala is too much.
You're tired.
You're tired. So that is my what the F this week.
Yeah, that's insane. The world is crazy.
Literally.
The world is a crazy place. Okay, so that's it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So on to my two Pesewas. So we're fresh in 2020. We've got our hacks and resolutions and things. But even though we're in the new year, some of us can't help thinking back in 2019 and thinking about what we didn't do or what we couldn't do, what we couldn't achieve. So my two Pesewas today is on regret. Now, regret is feeling bad because things could have been better if we had made different decisions, right? And it is a central part of decision making and happens to be one of the most common negative emotions that people feel, regret. Now, recently I was asked by a friend whether I had regretted ending my most recent relationship. And I said, do I regret it? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, it just teaches you, for me, it just taught me lessons. What I want, what I do not want in a relationship, and things like that. And I'm the type not to try and dwell too much and regret too much because it doesn't really take you anywhere. Now, whether it was a job that you didn't take and later realized that, oh, this job would have been good for me, or like I said, like a relationship, or even having kids. People regret having kids.
Or not having
kids, yes. Right. So it's safe to say that regret is a normal part of the human experience. But the thing is that it can also be quite disruptive and it can be quite harmful. If you're the type who just wallows in your regret and you don't do anything for the future to change it, it can be harmful to you. And the fact is that as long as we make choices, those choices have consequences. And those consequences can lead to regret, right? At the time of decision making that inevitably led to the regret, you believe that you have enough information at hand to make the right decision. And sometime down the line, you look back and then you say, I could have made different decisions not
if
to
I'd
lead to
only
this.
known this
Exactly.
and this and this.
And you remember we talked about hindsight bias last week in cognitive bias. This is closely related to that. You think you would have done things differently because somehow, had I known, sort of, you know. But the thing about regret is that it helps us learn about ourselves. It helps us learn about what we want, what we don't like, and the choices that we make. So, what to do? 1, focus on the positives. I believe that in almost every regrettable incident or event, there is something that you can take out of it and then focus on that for the future. For example, let's say that you had a job that just makes you travel so much. And then you now realize that those people who actually got the job and were traveling so much, their health is suffering under that. So you can say that, well, I didn't get the job, but at least my health is intact, right? Let your mistakes teach you lessons. I guess that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just take the positive lesson from that if you can. The third is don't always put the blame on someone else. Sometimes it's you. It's not always the other person. You should be able to humble yourself and know that, well, I made this decision. I made some
had
really
a hand in this. Right.
Exactly. So, and yeah, I had a hand in this, so it's really my fault. For example, you've got some mothers or some fathers out there. They don't talk to their children with common sense. They say, "I wish I'd never I'd never brought you through this world. I wish I'd never done this." Forgetting to think that you are the one who brought them into this world. It's not their fault, is it? It is your fault. So you're now blaming the child. It's totally
Or they
wrong.
go wayward. But you raised them, right? So who are you blaming for what they turn into?
Who are you blaming, right? So the fourth one is sharing regrets. A lot of the times we are alone with our thoughts. It's good to have somebody that you can share your regrets with. Don't share with people who are going to immediately judge you, say, yeah, I knew it, you made the bad decision, I knew it. Have somebody who's a bit empathetic. There are ways to say that, okay, I knew you did this wrong, but that is not the time. There's a time for everything, you know. Number 5, right your wrongs. If you made a decision that led to a regrettable action, yours is to go up and say, I apologize for what I did. I can't turn back time, but I can apologize for what I did for what I did. Simple. And to sum it all up is this quote I saw: stay away from what might have been and look at what can be. And that's my 2 pesos on regret. Please don't wallow in regret. It's just not
helpful.
It's not helpful. It's not healthy. So that's that from me.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so it's also somewhat related to Christmas, but actually can be extrapolated to a much wider set of situations. I would like to talk to you this week about Ghanaian concert experiences, or the Ghanaian concert experience. And you can, interchange concert with show, or I don't know, whatever type of thing that has you leave your house, pay money, and go somewhere. All right. Now, having been, I consider myself somewhat an expert on Ghanaian concerts because I've been to almost all of them at least once.
Okay.
Whatever, festival, whatever it is, I've probably been once and regretted going. So, also, I am a victim/survivor of last year's Ghana Music Awards. So I'm coming to you with PTSD, trauma. My question is simple. Why must every Ghanaian concert be punishment and sufferation? So anyway, here are some characteristics of Ghanaian concerts. 1, they are always late.
Yeah,
They without fail, they are going to start 2 to 3 hours late. 2 to 3 hours after the time indicated on your ticket. Why? What is that? Really? And again, the Ghana Music Awards is a classic example. And I'm sure that, listen, like I always say, don't come for me. I'm going to have to put that on a t-shirt. If you come for me, I will clap back with receipts. You say you start at 7, but they don't start till 10. And then and even when they do start, they're like, "Hey, are you ready?" I'm like, "Listen, if you don't get to the point, are you guys ready for a wonderful time?" And we're like drenched in sweat 3 hours after the fact, and I'm like,
yeah, when you don't respect people's time, that's what happens. You don't respect.
First of all,
time.
Nowadays these tickets are not cheap. They really aren't. And so the least you could do is again, like Eddie said, respect our time. If you say 7, at the worst 7:30, you should be rolling.
Yes.
They will literally leave you there for hours and hours, and it's not right. And it happens every time, and I'm so sick of it. It literally ruins. By the time the show starts, I'm ready to go home. You know, and I always say, I finally realized why Ghanaian audiences tend to be dry. If you've ever watched a show, people are looking there, looking like stank-faced, dejected, not even paying attention. They won't clap for you. They certainly won't stand up and cheer. Please, who are you?
I know. I remember though. I think Alison Hines was on there. She got no love. I'm like
me. I was sitting there with my fan like sis, and I love Alison Hines. I was just over it by then. We need to do better. We need to do better. Our impunctuality cannot extend to events where you have, it's different, even if it's your engagement, it's still out of order to start late. Whatever, we just need to work on our punctuality. But once you take my money, then it becomes a different thing. Then I expect what was advertised. I expect it to be what's on the tin. Don't tell me, you know, this contains fresh strawberries. And it's not like, listen. Event organizers, look, it's not cute. This 3 hours late thing is nonsense. You need to cut it out and start beginning your shows on time.
I'll get up and go. I don't have the patience.
Hey, but then after you've paid, because listen, I don't play with my money.
Give me my money.
Like,
give me my money back. Because it's not cool.
So, second thing, getting in will be like passing through the gates of hell. Again. Somehow we're at the place, somehow we can't even organize ourselves to the point where you can enter smoothly. I don't understand, you know. I don't understand. It's always some bottleneck. This is choked at the entrance. They don't have sufficient, again, and not to single out the VGMAs, but really that was like the epitome, like the apex of the nonsense. You know what I mean? Because they knew they had sold, is it 3,000 tickets or 4,000 tickets, but you have 2 entrances, which are both, you know, entrance and egress. So you're supposed to go in and out those 3,000 people. How the hell is that supposed to work? So of course, by the time I got in, I was disheveled. I've been to a concert where I lost a button on my trying to get in because it's like, hey.
No, I can't. Maybe that's what I just can't.
What is that? Like what is that? Every time, I've never been anywhere where getting in was smooth. And now, point 2.1, you may get lashed or tased. Now, this is in direct reference to Afro Nation and Afrochella, Dirty Rave that just happened. Apparently, they were lashing people at one of them, and a few people, is it you that sent me that on Instagram, on Twitter? Some people said they got tased at the gate at Dirty Rave, and it's all because they haven't made the entrances like, I don't know what, like systematic or smooth or whatever. You should understand when you have a certain volume of people, you need to have a certain number of entrances, and you have to separate the entrances from the exits so that it doesn't get choked. These are simple things, I feel like. Anyway. 3, it will be uncomfortable. So once you fought to get in, they've torn your shirt or whatever it is, your wig is crooked. Yes. Your glue has lifted, all that, and you finally made it in. 9 times out of 10, if it's an indoor event, it is too hot in there because they've decided not to use standing ACs or whatever it is. Again, knowing that you have a certain number of people, which I'm going to get, this will be 3A, B, and C. Because 3A is that they oversell the tickets. So the venue that is supposed to hold 200 people, they've sold 350 tickets. That's one. And what that results in is it's too hot, it is too crowded, and they've squeezed the seating together, unless it's the stadium where at least you have fresh air or something outdoor. But these indoor ones, they pack the chairs close to each other.
Why do they do that? Like what? Just to get more people?
Yes, so they can get more people, so they can get more money. But that's not even
safe. Like if there's a fire or something.
Fire hazards, emergency exit. Because when I go, I know this is an HSE violation. Health and safety, violations all over the place. Fire risks. Stampede risks.
I'm sure nobody's checking for that.
Of course not. Anyway, so, and then, not only that, because they oversell the tickets, you go in there with full confidence, having paid 300 CDs for a ticket, and you'll find that you have nowhere to sit. And they'll be like, oh, okay, well, they'll just look at your face. One of South Korea's shows, people were carrying folding chairs from outside. I don't know where they found the plastic chairs or to come and put them in the aisles So of course, if something happens, and this was the same thing at the VGMA, the media were in the aisles. Usually they have a media pool where they all stand so they can take pictures or whatever it is. No. So they would all crowd in the aisles. And so when all the mayhem and melee happened, they were in the aisles, people were and then the tear gas in an enclosed space. But Point number 4, VIP is a scam.
I saw so many tweets.
VIP is a scam, sis and brothers. Either is that they set the VIP stage so far and in some funny corner that the regular like hoi polloi get a better view than the VIP do, or the VIP again is packed. So packed that you wish you were somewhere else anyway, or like Afro Nation, the VIP section didn't even have one chair there. I don't.
Oh my!
Now again, these are not cheap tickets we're talking about. That era of affordable tickets has long passed, if there ever was one. So again, people are paying what 300, 400, 500 CDs for VIP tickets. And either you get nowhere to sit, or there's, all the chairs are gone. There are no chairs to begin with. I've been to a concert with the barricades between the VIP and the regulars. People just kept jumping over. So at the end, we all just mixed in there together. So you're like, why did I buy this VIP ticket?
Yeah,
why?
it doesn't make sense.
So,
Lord,
and then what's my final point? Yes. Final point is these events go on for too long.
The VGMAs.
We do not need 2,572 performers in one concert. We literally don't. No, but Beyonce's concerts are 2 hours. Rihanna, 1.5 hours. Whoever, all these Rolling Loud or whatever, 3 hours maximum. Ghanaian concerts will start at 10 and end at 4:30 in the morning. What is that? Why? One year, what did I watch on TV? Because I've stopped going now, and even watching the broadcast on TV was tired. And GTV cut it off at 2 a.m. and they weren't even done.
Of course, they have to. I remember watching the VGMAs and it went on forever, and I just went to bed.
I just get up and go to bed.
No.
There is no need. Or you have to edit. If you're going to start late, you'll have to edit. People are going to be upset. But that means you're going to cut off half the opening acts because there's no longer any time. But most concerts, you get one opening act. As you say, somebody is supporting somebody on tour. That's what it means. Normani is opening for Adele or whoever. Or who was it she opened for? Sam Smith. One opening act, the main act, we've closed. Only in Ghana, you have 15 opening acts. Then by the time the main person comes on, you are exhausted because it is 3:30 in the morning. Then they're all like, everybody no, I'm not. Everybody will not shout or sing along. Excuse you. 1, 2, let's go. You and who go where? I'm tired. I'm going to my house. Listen, we have so much wonderful music. We have so many wonderful artists, and we make the experience of seeing them live so painful that me, who is such a music lover and would happily support all these people and events and whatever, I'm not gonna go because every time I've gone, it's been a stressful and painful experience. And I feel like, look, it's 2020. 2020 is the year where all nonsense must stop, We're in a new decade. As I said, I love even numbers. 2020 is just curvy and beautiful and is aesthetically pleasing. Let's get it together this year. Right. And we can't keep repeating the same mistakes, same complaints every year on, and then you come and say 20 years of VGMA, but you don't know that
it was terrible. It was
horrible.
It was terrible.
Horrible.
It was terrible.
It was such an embarrassment. And I'm saying, again, I'm not singling out the VGMA because every event that happens in this country is a hot mess in some way or another.
What about the ones at Allianz?
Thank you, because I almost forgot to say that.
The
only place that I've universally enjoyed every concert I've been to is at Allianz Française.
Yeah.
Every time. They tend to start roughly because I went to EL's concert and I didn't even finish. Because again, I'm just like, look. But at least you'll be comfortable. They have nice food options in there. It's breezy, it's spacious.
Yes.
Getting in is not too painful because the venue is not too big. It's not bad. Alliance is a pleasant-ish place to be. Manifest concerts that he does at Bukom Arena, I like the place. I will call you guys out because y'all started hours late as well, but the concert was wonderful. But yeah, generally we just need to do better than this.
We do.
It's so disrespectful to the people that attend. Like you take their money
their
and
mind is like, oh, this is how we've been doing it. So it's okay, let's do it like that.
if they'll
It's not
complain,
right.
but next year they'll come, whether you have to stand or
thing.
squat.
If people said they wouldn't come, they'll listen.
they'll have to revamp and do better. Anyway, I feel like I've talked for like 20 minutes, so let me stop here. But I would just like to say, Ghanaian Concert and event organizers, get your lives together in 2020.
All right, then.
Okay, so I think that's it.
That's it for today. All right, then. See you next week. Bye.